GM. So today, traded day. Going to take a look at Ethereum. So ETH BTC is pushing right up into the area, like I said here, where I would expect it to pull back at least temporarily. And it's coming off the back of several days now where Ethereum just keeps grinding higher and keeps breaking that 3K level, and everyone keeps getting more and more adjusted to the fact that Ethereum might outperform. So wouldn't be surprised for a pullback here. In the strength against BTC at least. Whether that leads to a pullback in the market or maybe, I don't know, maybe Bitcoin just goes for a pump and leaves Ethereum lagging slightly. I would say that now we've gone from the 12th to 25th, right? So almost 2 full weeks where Ethereum, ETH BTC has just been up, 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 up. And yeah, I look at Sol. I want to look at Sol BTC. Still looks like shit is trying the bottom. And Sol ETH still looks like shit and trying to bottom. So yeah, I was going to say from that perspective, I was looking at is Sol going to show some strength that might take away from Ethereum, which would lead Ethereum to not be leading. But from that perspective, ETH definitely still leading Solana. Solana still looks like dog shit. So good for ETH and good for ETH bulls. As for ETH itself, ETH USD, taking out the highs here on a weekend, pull back from there could be coming. But as I've said all week, I don't see any deep corrections in the market yet. I think as you look here, ETH following up last week's good strong breakout candle with another solid green candle. Some pullback will come at some point, but dips are for buying, in my opinion. Not every dip, you have to actually fucking wait for a higher low to form. But I just think that this tends to be the way it moves, where it impulses away from people and doesn't pull back. I'm looking at something more like this for ETH. Several, maybe even a few weeks of just choppy action where it stays kind of around that 3K level, which makes sense. It's going to, by the way, this is the other thing. It's going to take a lot to move Ethereum away from 3,000. 3,000 is a big number. It's a round number. It's a sticky number. It's good, right? It's a good level for Ethereum. It's a big psychological level. But unless there's some intent, some impulse, either bullish or bearish, it's going to take a lot to push Ethereum away from that. A lot of times people think when price comes to a certain level that it's going to like reject or find support or whatever. But you can see this a bit with Bitcoin as well. Breaking above that 50 is proving sticky, right? It wants to stay there. There's a lot of mixed opinions, meaning some people want to sell, some want to buy, but there's balance there. On balance, the market's agreeing Bitcoin around 50, 52, Ethereum around 3K. Like those are levels that they make perfect sense as well for this stage of the market. For where we are right now, to have ETH like this and Bitcoin like this like at this stage of the halving year, right just before the halving, with all the bullish backdrop that we have, that's pretty much exactly what you'd expect. If not slightly even a bit better, because there was still the disbelief from some people that we couldn't do it. And so, from that perspective, I think it looks great. And we're heading towards another monthly close. And this is going to be a solid monthly close for Ethereum. Right, we're still 4 days to go. Solid monthly close on Ethereum. And then Bitcoin, again, just continues its momentum and its march. So as for trading Ethereum, for trade of the day, is there any trades I could see like presenting themselves today on fucking Sunday? Difficult, right? I don't trade weekends typically, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a pullback here that it doesn't go the way people expect, right? I would say in this zone here is support. I wouldn't be surprised if Ethereum comes down there to just go and take those highs again. I think there would need to be some kind of bigger move above the highs for it to actually take out the lows after. So as I'm not going to be trading this, right? I'm going to be, not if it happens on a Sunday, but I'm just looking at what I would expect here. A lot of times these kind of just small grabs, the false breakouts, if they push back down to support, it's usually a good support to buy. Especially, if you zoom out and everything else is in line. Like if you look at that, it would just be more further consolidation above the bands, consolidating around that 3K level. for Ethereum, that would be totally fine. But yeah, I'm not going to trade that. It's too small of a move for me to even care about. You'd have to be there's just no point. But if I'm looking at paths for where it can go, that'd be one that would be in my mind. Higher time frame, if you want to actually get a decent higher time frame trade on Ethereum, I would say be patient and wait for the 4 hour trend to get tested. Right. So currently it's following the 4 hour EMA bands, and they've held all the way. So I fully expect that to continue. There's no reason to suspect those to break. They've tried a couple of times. This consolidation has tried to lose the 4 hour trend bands once, twice, 3 times and held. That's a chart to me that's going higher, not lower. And so I think Ethereum's going to keep going higher. And it might be a little bit like Bitcoin was back in October, if you remember, where it just followed the 4 hour trend all the way up. And then if you look at the analogy of Bitcoin doing that back in October, if you guys remember, it was this move where he followed that 4 hour trend for fucking ages, up and up and up, and it just kept going and going and going and going and going. And it was, I think it was a month. Yeah, it was 30 days, 15th of October to the 14th of November, all in one uninterrupted 4 hour trend with no real weakness. So Ethereum has been trending up since the 5th. So we're getting on for 20 days now. Would not be surprised if that continues. In terms of buying, depends where price comes from, but the 50, the first touch of the 50 is usually the best entry you get. When it comes to the 100 or the 200, that's kind of case by case. It depends. You can see here, when it comes to the 50, you get your good entry, goes to new highs. Comes to the 100, not necessarily. It eventually does go higher. But when it comes to the 100, that usually signals a bit of short-term trend weakness because it goes through the 50 to the 100, and it consolidated at the 100 and then went higher, right? Then came to the 200, had to consolidate, then went higher. So if you're actually looking for immediate trend continuation, your strongest retest or strongest touch is always going to be the 50. So I would have my eyes on the 50 for a proper long if it does set up. And so for me with those, I just set the alert. And once it taps that, I'll say some kind of trend. Crossing the 50, and just stay long. See if a long presents at that point. So that's it. GM. See you later on the live stream, 5 p.m. UTC. Weekly outlook. GM.